Sit back and relax while you listen to Train Kickers Podcast. I'm Dave, and along with my co-hosts Dan and Steve, we're going to take you all around the world of miniature wargaming. On tonight's episode, we're going to continue our now twice-a-week recordings related to the different legions for Horus Heresy. In particular, tonight we're going through the 9th Legion, so we're going through the Blood Angels. You're going to hear us talk about some plans for next week, and as of today's August 11th. As of today, there's been some changes in what we can do for next week. Our original plan was to do essentially a midnight release recording for the Mechanicum book, get that pushed out to you guys on next Saturday, so that way we have content and information day one for it, including some battle reports and different things like that. You'll hear us mention that. As of today, we have received notice from GW that the book is delayed until sometime in the future. They haven't actually said when. So unfortunately, we won't be able to do that, but we will be able to go through some more legions. I just want to say at the top here, I do want to thank everyone who has been subscribing, specifically to our YouTube. I mean, the podcast is great as well, but as you know, YouTube requires certain numbers and figures before it really matters at all to them. And it has been growing very nicely lately, and that is greatly appreciated as we try to get better and better as we go along. If you're listening and you haven't subscribed yet, please do consider it. Like I said, we want to break out and do some more things, not just the podcast, battle reports, all kinds of stuff. But doing that, only becomes viable when we see that there's a desire or demand for it. Well, having said all that, then we'll get on to the show. All right, and we are back again for the second time this week to keep our faster progress going through these various legions for Horus Heresy. Tonight we are going through the 9th Legion. We are talking about Blood Angels, just as we've done for all the other ones up till now. We're going to discuss everything we can about them, short of the rites of war, which we may mention if one of them is particularly interesting or particularly different. And also we'll be doing all the Primarchs later, sort of maybe in a bit of a tier list or something like that. So, for these guys, we discussed we're probably going to do a little bit more round robinish style for their fluff. I think maybe I will start with these ones then, as I read them right before we started. Okay, so for the Blood Angels, if anyone's familiar with them in 40k, and this is something because they were actually my first army in 40k. They're what I started with. I sat down and I listened to the independent characters. Their podcast discuss every single army in 40k, I don't know, 10 plus years ago, 15 years ago, however long it was. And they're the ones I thought sounded cool because they were fast and all of that. And, they talk about the Red Thirst, they talk about these sort of things. And when you read this fluff, you see a lot of that, how, the death of Sanguinius, kind of makes them snap, but they still had those problems before. So, where other legions, as they put it, were out conquering and subjugating, essentially spreading the imperial truth, they were much more just a weapon put out and attempted to direct in a way that would be helpful. They talk about how essentially almost savage. We haven't gotten to World Eaters or any of those yet, but they honestly, at least from the offset, they sound like one of the more violent groups, or maybe one of the most violent that we've seen so far. They talk about how they were put on some of the worst worlds, the ones that were chemical bombed or radiation mutated, essentially just almost thrown to the horrors of the galaxy because they could withstand it. And they go into talking about why they could withstand it is one that, ruthlessness, their tactics, and their habit of essentially eating the dead. So for anyone who's not aware, Space Marines, and they get, is it 18 organs? How many or implants?
Oh God, I can't remember. Oh Lord,
I forget. It's a lot, and they added more when they added Primaris stuff.
Yeah, I want to say. I want to say it's like 18 or something like that. It's a large number, not counting Primaris, because I don't honestly know that much about them. But one of the things they have is an oemphage implant. And essentially, this is something so that way if they were to eat say a creature's brain. I don't think it has to be the brain, but that's usually what they reference, at least the parts I remember, that they can actually gain information from it. They can learn from it to an extent, sort of like in 40K the Crew do. And they were known for, well, I shouldn't say known for doing that. It is something they did. And either a blind eye was turned or no one was made that aware of it. But part of the reason why they were so successful in their campaigns is from literally devouring the dead and learning tactics, what those people were doing, better ways to fight. They talk about how their neophytes became skilled warriors exceedingly fast because they ate dead warriors. The Legion gets more direction once they find Sanguinius. They existed for like 50 years before he was found. Once they had him, though, he was able to make them more honorable. One thing they mention is how they would take anyone for their gene seed rather than trying to take the best and the brightest or the strongest and all of that. They'll take the dregs of society, the worst, the people mutated, all of that. And it worked really well for them. They all came out, like statuesque, and it seemed like their gene seed actually took better to the worse and more, I don't know, degenerate of a person you were in some way. But Sanguinius was able to hone them together and put them into a fighting force. Anything that either of you want to add?
Go ahead.
I did not know any of that.
Yeah, this is actually all from the main rulebook.
But that's it. Huh.
Yeah, I wasn't aware. And they even mentioned in there how, like, oh, once Sanguinius was around, they kind of looked at him and said, oh, for the ones who have succumbed to it. They don't call it the Red Thirst then. I don't know what they called it. It's probably in one of the books. I'm just not familiar enough to say. But they say in there, like, oh yeah, they either gave them the Emperor's Mercy or just locked them up in Ball. So the Red Thirst and all of, succumbing to all that idea was inherent in them long before, Sanguinius even showed up. But Dan, did you have anything you wanted to add then?
I'm just going to add that one of their tactics sounds very White Scar, but also not very White Scar.
Okay.
Mostly because they are brutal. Is that they do love? I remember from the Fluff correctly, they do love drop pods. Their big thing is to drop from space. Is that shock? No, not shock tactics. Is it shock tactics?
I would say shock tactics, shock and all, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so very much like, it's kind of very much like drop from the sky as quickly as possible before the enemy can react. Be in their lines as quickly as possible before they can react. I should also point out as a side note, the Blood Angels, very much like the Emperor's children, are very pretty. Not just like in armor and filigree, but like their faces. They're very I remember this in the Horus Heresy, it being said a lot, that their faces are very beautiful faces, which is quite funny because it gets Fulgrim kind of pissed off. Because Fulgrim wants to be the most perfect and beautiful, but Sanguinius is I think a better fighter in the lore. And it literally irks him to no end, and I think that's just slightly funny.
They specifically mention how they take essentially what you would think is the worst recruits possible. They put them through this, and they all come out in Adonis.
Yes,
and they're not sure why, but something about the gene seed works perfectly with the more horrid and messed up you are, the better you come out.
Hilarious. But I just wanted to point that out because I'm thinking to myself, that's just, I remember that him and Fulgrim, Sanguinius and Fulgrim always kind of, jipping at each other, charting at each other, so that's why.
They can't all be the pretty boy.
Can't all be the pretty boy.
All right. So, who wants their fancy trait?
I'll take this one. This one's a pretty cool one.
One thing that we're forgetting before we get into the rules.
What's that?
Do you know where the Paladins were? Okay, so a couple things about during the heresy. Right before the heresy starts, Horus, as War Master, sends them out to the Eastern Fringe, and they end up getting their legion ambushed by demons of the Ruin Storm. Before we knew they were demons. So that holds them up for the first bit of the heresy, and they lose a lot of dudes. And in that fight, Dan, I think you know about this. Sanguinius and Kabanda end up fighting.
Yes.
And who gets their back broken again?
Actually, that I can't remember.
Someone gets their back broken.
And
then they trade roles again later at the siege itself.
It mentions in the book in the first fight, Sanguinius gets both his legs broken.
That's
yes.
Yes. Kabanda's back, I think, is broken in the second fight, I believe.
If you missed our Kabanda podcast where we talk about his rules for a couple minutes, you will know that I love Kabanda as a character only because he's not the stupid corn dude. He's very much like a thinking corn man. But skulls for the skull throne, but why? And he's actually saved the Blood Angels on occasion. He saved the Blood Angels from a Tyranid swarm.
Yep.
Yeah, him and Sanguinius go way back.
Yeah, and then of course Blood Angels are one of the big defenders at Terra.
Yes.
That's the other big thing to know about them. And they do a little side quest in the Macragge system, and they participate in one of the larger heresies committed by the Loyalists, Imperium Secundus. Sanguinius is crowned as the emperor of this, the Imperium died, little mini temporary empire that Gullman set up.
Yep. Rune storms and warp storms had cut them off. They knew there was a heresy and they had no contact from Terra, so they assumed the worst. They assumed it was over. So let's set up another one so that way we can get back in, keep these ideals that the Emperor had going, and try to fight off the heretics. But all right, Dan, why don't you get into
absolutely
this trait?
So this is the Encarmine Fury. So of course this works for any and all models of the Legion Astartes Blood Angel special rule. So they require one lower result to wound than they would normally, to a minimum of 2+, on any turn in which they take part in a successful charge against an enemy unit, even if that charge is counted as disordered. This effect applies regardless of the weapon they are using. For example, a strength 4 weapon and attacking a target with toughness 4, the Blood Angel will require a 3 to wound rather than the usual 4+. In addition, any vehicle with the Legion Astartes Blood Angel special rule, when they make a ram attack, they increase their strength by 1 to a maximum of strength 10. So, excellent rule. I like to compare this a lot with the Emperor's Children rule.
Yep.
Because both of them are very similar in terms of, if you charge, even if it's disordered, you get a bonus to a stat line. In Emperor's Children, it was plus you attack or at an initiative step higher. In this one, you wound a result higher. And in either case, I make the argument the same way. This is an excellent trait. You have to play around it. You have to make sure you get the charge off. But an extra 2 wound is absolutely bonkers amazing. Yeah, that's it's just a good trait. But you have to charge.
Yes. And the vehicle one, I think to some extent, they just didn't know what to do with vehicles at some point, because this is multiple spots we've seen the vehicles get extra on rams. The Dark Angels, one of their things that wouldn't help a vehicle, that's just what they get as well. And I know there's other ones that do. I don't know why that's sort of the fallback.
Who cares? I pretty much ignored it.
What I have no problem with, again, yeah, I think it's good. I think it can help you. I think it tailors your army huge. This tells you what you're trying to do with this army. You want to be assaulting. It's not that other things won't do well for you, but if you actually want to get use of your trait, you need assault squads or assault type squads. And when we talk about their units, we're going to see that sort of thing. I do find it interesting because I was trying to check their wording, and I think it's just the way they wrote it because they want it to sound nice. It's one lower result to wound rather than just saying +1 to wound. Because looking back, there's other spots where they talk about things being a +1 to certain things. I just thought that was an interesting way. Or yeah, Firewing, it's +1 to wound. Where here it's 1 lower to wound them. It's the same. Is there a spot where that would be different, or is it just the way they worded it?
And you mentioned this yesterday. I'm wondering if the reason it's worded like this is because it allows them to wound something they normally can't. So, for example, your what is it? Firewing? You said no.
Yeah.
What was the
Firewing have a +1 to wound if there's an independent character.
So
that's the wording of the rule.
But if you're shooting your bolter at a Leviathan, though, there is no +1 to wound because you can't wound a Leviathan, right? This one is you require 1 lower result to wound. So if you look at the chart, sure, you're strength 5 to strength 8.
Yep.
You look at the dash, but then you shift over 1 because you're 1 lower to wound.
Yeah, because you're right.
That's why
it is 1 lower result.
Maybe this is me completely off the cuff bullshitting right now, but that's what I'm thinking. All right?
No, because the result's the dice roll.
Yeah, the result would be the. Yeah, it could just be inconsistent writing 2 different ways of saying the same thing. But I just thought it was interesting that they've said this different ways, and whenever they do that, I'm always curious: was it intentional, or was it just what they happened to put down? Yeah, I would say that no, you still need to be able to hurt it. But I would love to see an FAQ.
I think it's just holdover language from the previous edition. Because they had a similar rule, and I think it was phrased this way too. Where they get, instead of +1 to wound, it's 1 easier to wound.
Yeah. It could literally be just that. I thought it was odd that they made that distinction. Or that they, I guess, maybe didn't make that distinction and just happened to say it. I mean, overall, though, it is good. You do need to be charging to get it. You won't have it all the time.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But it will, having swung enough 4 strength, 4 toughness kind of things, when you're talking about Space Marines, the difference of 1 can be enough to win a combat for you. And which means you have a chance of sweeping your opponent.
I'm terrified if this is Mechanicum. Because Myrmidons are toughness 5, which is a good defensive buff. But if they charge me, they're wounding me on 4s, which is
16% better.
Yeah. But yeah, no, just overall really good.
Right. That makes it nice and simple.
Very nice and simple, yeah.
We are on to their reaction. Steve, did you want to take the reaction or no?
Pick this one up.
Okay.
So, as usual, it's a once per game reaction. If the entire unit's blamed, you do it. What it does is, when you are targeted by a shooting attack, you can trigger the reaction and you gain Shrouded 5+ against all wounds inflicted as part of that attack. If you already have a Shrouded rule, then it does not stack. Afterwards, you can declare a charge at that unit as normal. It's like, you roll dice and you charge them. And the enemy may not make a reaction to this charge. Of course, it's because it's their own turn, but they just reinforce that here. If it's successful, they're locked in combat. And the charging unit gets all their normal benefits. The Hammer of Wrath, they get their Blood Angels rule, all that good stuff. So you shoot me, I take cover, and then I charge.
Very situational.
All right. So I know we haven't talked about them yet, but the almost direct, like 1-to-1 comparison of this is the World Eater's Advanced Reaction, which literally is the same thing. It just trades Shrouded 5+ for Feel No Pain 5+. And the reason I bring that up is because we have a World Eaters player that's local, and that this reaction is absolutely amazing. I mean, the problem with Feel No Pain 5+ is if you're being hit with Strength 8, then it doesn't really matter. But overall, it's a great reaction. I like this because it's shrouded. So you can get hit with a Strength 8 shot and still take your shrouded save.
There's less that ignores shrouded. For sure.
Yes. There's less ignores cover than there is Strength 8. I think that's the good way to put it.
Yep, there's just night vision units and flamer units and a couple special ammo.
Yeah. So I like this because it's very similar to the World Leaders trade is extremely well. When we get to them, I'll rant about them. But this to me is just as good. You trade Feel No Pain for Shrouded, and that's just good.
Yeah.
I don't say it's situational. I don't know if it's.
Of course, it's situational. Okay, if you want the full effect, it's exceptionally situational. If all you care about, I mean, but you could always take Shrouded anyway. But for the second effect, you need to be within a range that I'm comfortable charging. Because notice the last part is you don't get the surge move. So I'm not even necessarily using this as a way to move forward. If you're like 10 inches from me, am I going to spend this? Am I going to hope I roll enough of a charge?
You have let's say you have an assault marine squad.
But maybe you don't. I'm not good, but I know you have that, so maybe I should do a different one. You know, we don't want to.
But then you're kind of winning because you're stopping the shot from happening.
I guess maybe to some extent,
every reaction is situational because there has to be a situation to react to.
But what I'm saying is, by even making the person like question the fact that he would shoot you and he's not shooting you, that's a win in my book.
It can be. I guess with certain units it's good, but across the army, I can see a lot of cases where you just would never use it. Yes, with your assault squads and some of their special units are assault type squads. You should probably honestly have assault squads. Your Blood Angels, that's what you do. But for any other squad, you know, it's easy to play around unless you're using a template weapon.
Here, I'll put it this way. You know how you mentioned before with the reaction, like you don't shoot with your Terminator sometimes because you don't want to get shot back?
Yeah.
Is that a benefit for you or a benefit for your opponent?
If
that you're not shooting him.
Well, but part of that we also have to keep in mind is sizes of games. As games get bigger, you're probably not necessarily saving it for that, or there's a possibility that you're not doing that. But no, that does benefit. It is technically a benefit to. It depends on which way you want to see it. It's a benefit to both sides. It's a benefit to my opponent because then he has more models left. It's a benefit to me because I have more models left.
Exactly. So it's just kind of cool that I like it. It's good. It is situational. I'll agree with you there, but I think it's a much more powerful advanced reaction.
Of the ones we've read, I don't really think so. It's not that it's bad. It's not that it's problematic, but I think some of the other ones of I get to charge instead, I kind of like more. The Space Wolf one, I get to move and charge you. If my goal is to lock you down, that's better. Now this one is nice if they're hitting with something heavier and you want to get those shrouded versus it. But nothing wrong with it, but there's other ones we've read that I prefer.
I mean, if worse comes to worse, it's a free shrouded.
I could already do a free shrouded.
Yeah.
At least they don't get to react to nothing bad happens if you fail the charge. So you could always do it on a spot where maybe it's a little bit dicey just to see.
Stupid question. Shrouded is 6 up or 5 up when you do it as a
5.
Like what? It's 5 up. Okay. Why do I keep thinking it's 6 up?
That's the Raven Guard rule.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking of 6s.
Yeah.
Okay. I keep freaking confusing Shrouded and I keep thinking it's 6 up. Anyway. All right.
I would feel more that this once per game thing is cool if it was able to stack to a maximum of +4. Because now it's like, now I feel like I'll survive and I feel like I have another use for it. I can use it to survive rather than just hopefully fighting you. Because you've already shot. And
well, don't forget, it's also going to change what order your opponent attacks in. Because once you're engaged, you can't be shot anymore.
True.
And if they slip up, well, guess what? Now that Terminator squad charged your, plasma guns or whatever, and they're stuck in combat, and they're probably going to win the combat, and they can't do anything about it. Maybe they could charge their own unit in to save them, but that's it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of gotchas. Things that are, if you forgot this thing that I can do that's very cool, and now you have a problem. Because in that case, it could also be I shoot you from far away with my really good guns, and you can't make any reactions. Because as soon as you do, I know now it's safe. This unit can't be trying to charge me. Again, it's not bad. There's just other ones that are similar in nature that I like more. They can't all be the same. We have some warlord traits. Does anyone have a favorite warlord trait or a name?
Oh, no, I kind of like the first two.
Well, you don't get two. You have to choose one.
I know. I'll do the first one. I'll do the first. It sounds cooler.
Okay.
The Encarmine Paladin.
That's the word paladin. That's
it's
why
a
you picked it.
Yeah. Oh, what? No, Dave. What? No, me. No.
Worst paladins ever.
So this is a loyalist. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not the worst paladin. People
You
who
were
listen to
more
this podcast,
evil than
I
my
swear to
character,
God.
who is actually evil.
No.
Go ahead. Read
no.
about your paladin. Read about your loyal paladin. Let's see how many people he murders.
A warlord with this trait gains the Fear 1 special rule when an enemy army has the traitor allegiance. So again, rule that as whoever you're fucking playing. Whenever a warlord with this trait is on the winning side of combat, in which the warlord was engaged, and that includes at least one enemy model with a traitor allegiance, he increases the value of his Fear special rule by 1 point at the end of the assault phase, in which the combat is won, to a maximum of Fear 4.
Cool.
So, for example, Jesus.
That's better than the Night Lords. They were kept at 3.
Wait, there has to be a caveat. Hold on. There has to be. It probably resets. Hold on. For example, if Warlord with this trait has Fear 1 special rule is locked in combat with an enemy unit with the traitor allegiance and wins the resulting combat, his Fear special rule would become Fear 2 at the end of the assault phase. In addition, any army who has this Warlord trait gets an additional reaction in the assault phase. No, so it just keeps going.
It's harder to stack because...
But it goes high.
Yeah, because the other one, you could get it for...
This is easier.
I would say this is
easier. You don't have to kill them. You have to win combat. There's a difference.
The other one, you either had to you kill in a challenge or
kill the character or kill the unit. Yeah. You just have to win combat. All you have to do is score more wounds.
Yeah, you can kill a sergeant so easily sometimes.
The reason I would say it's...
All you have to do is win the combat.
The reason I would say it's tougher is to get to the 4 is because you still then have to get through 3 combats. With the other one, in one combat, you have the option of getting all of it.
Yes, true.
That's 2 turns. That's just a combat that lasts 2 turns. Like 2
No,
turns.
because remember, you can kill the character and also kill the unit, and that already brings you to Fear 3 in one turn. Versus this, you could only win 1 combat a turn. So it would take you 2 turns to get you to Fear 3 versus 1 turn to get you to Fear 3 for the Night
potential.
Lords.
And that only works if you kill the unit, though. In this one, you don't have to kill them. You just have okay, I killed the sergeant, and they hold, and well, now I'm screwed.
But here's the thing,
all you have to do is score more wounds, and it's not that hard because you factor in all the combatants. So you have 2 units, multi-charge 1 unit, score more wounds, and you win. If they're fearless, you just milk that unit for morale benefit. Fear benefit.
I don't know. I feel like killing the sergeant is easy. Killing sergeant / killing the unit is easier.
Yeah, and you can do that once because there's only 1 sergeant in a squad. Or they just refuse the challenge, and then you're screwed. Here,
see, for me, because wait, hold on. Is it kill the sergeant in a challenge or kill the sergeant in combat?
It was you had to beat someone in a challenge. It wasn't even sergeant. It was like kill someone.
Beat someone in a challenge. Okay.
Was the actual ruling?
Point is, we're both agree. We're pretty much, even though we disagree, we all agree that this is still a good warlord trait. Right?
This is good.
It has more upside than the Night Lords one, but it's a very easy to make that direct comparison to it. So this has more upside. However, the downside, if you want to put it that way, is that it will take longer. On average. So they can get to the 3 probably faster than you'll get to 3, but you can also get to 4. And you don't necessarily have to be winning as much, even if they stick around, as long as you make it through. Although I'm still always more about your big unit. If I can control where they go, whatever I'm going to hit, I'm probably going to be able to wipe anyway.
Yeah. Fear 4 is insane.
Fear 4, I mean, again, I haven't read all these books from cover to cover yet, but I don't know anything else that sits at Fear 4.
Does
Hers was
Hers was only 3.
It was Fear 3.
Wow. You could be a really scary dude. Okay.
So I mean, you're better at making people run. Like innocent townsfolk to go running into the dark to be eaten by wolves.
They're not salamanders.
You know.
They're not the salamanders. Are supposed to be the civilians, man.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about when your not evil paladin made people run and it got them killed.
Oh my god,
Am I wrong? And in the words yes or no, you don't get to do this. Sit on the fence. Is what I said actually wrong?
He did run away.
So, and then they died from it. Yes.
Who knows? The bear could have got him when he was.
No. Like, we saw him, and actually, now I was talking about when the wolves did it, not even the bear. But we digress. Steve, would you like to take Paragon of Unity, or do you want to be the traitor?
I want to be the traitor.
I'll take Paragon of Unity. Dan, you can stew in your own paladin juices over there. It is good though. It is a good trait. I mean, Fear 4, your people are running, which is awesome. Any friendly unit made up entirely of models with the Legion of Astartes Blood Angel special rule that can draw a line of sight to the Warlord with this trait. To any model in a unit with this, draw a line of sight to a Warlord with this trait. To any model in a unit the Warlord has joined, or to any model that is engaged in combat, which the Warlord is a part of, gains a +1 leadership characteristic to a maximum of 10. You also get an additional reaction in the opposing player's assault phase as long as he's alive. So you get an extra leadership if you see the Warlord, if you see his unit, or if you see anyone in the combat that he's fighting in. So in that case, you could see an enemy and you would still get the bonus. It wouldn't matter.
Is that 2 for assault phase reactions?
Yes, it is.
They're blood angels. That makes sense.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I'm interested. That's right. Okay.
It's +1 to your leadership. Don't get me wrong. +1 to leadership is absolutely good. This game, leaderships are lower in general, so having a higher leadership is going to help you out. It's sort of it's the vanilla to the previous one's chocolate, or strawberry. Or pick whatever type of ice cream. We call it vanilla for a reason. It's the very nice and good, but it's not exciting. I don't get excited by my leadership being better. My army is better. I will do better. The game will probably work out maybe a little better for me. But, you standing somewhere, losing a combat by 1, and my Fear 4, meaning that you actually are at -5, is just more fun. I don't know if either of you have any other thoughts on that.
I mean, that kind of makes sense.
Nothing to the contrary.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's just not exciting.
Yeah, no, it's very good. At the end of it, it's actually very good. There's nothing wrong with taking this. You will do well if you take this. However, it's not the ones that are fun. I don't know. Maybe the Trader one. That's one's probably fun too. Traders get fun stuff.
Oh yeah, come to the dark side. We have the good Warlord traits.
Let's see about that.
All right. Thrall of the Red Thirst. Trader only. So essentially, the lore of this one is that either you're all in on the Horus thing, or you are one of those Blood Angels that's gone a little crazy, and you're kind of distanced from the rest of the Legion, or completely abandoned by them, because you're just not controllable. So, for this one, if, rules-wise, if at the start of the controlling player's charge sub-phase, there are enemy units with at least 1 mile and 12 inches of the Warlord, or any model in this unit the Warlord is joined, and you can make a charge, you must declare a charge, targeting that enemy unit. If there's more than one target, you get to choose which one. Whenever you make a successful charge that's not disordered, you get +2 attacks instead of +1 attack for the charge. And you also get an extra movement phase reaction. So essentially, this gives you Fear Rage 2 to the unit he's in, but without being Rage 2. So if you had Rage from somewhere else, it would stack.
I like it.
This is nice because you just dump dice at something with malicious intent.
This one pairs very nicely. One, having the extra movement phase reaction pairs very nicely with their trait, their Legion trait, because I'm more likely to actually want to use my advanced reaction if I have more movement reactions and therefore can get into range. You walk within 12, I initiative forward. Now I'm actually chargeable. Now I can charge you if you decide to shoot me, rather than maybe I'm sitting at 12 inches without any other special bonuses. Yeah, Paragon of Unity is just it's very nice but very vanilla. These other two are very fun. If you're a loyalist or a traitor, they're both really good, and they're both, you know, kind of two sides of the same cloth. They're both actually pretty dark for one side being loyal. You're just scary rather than murdering them per se. So I mean, so far we haven't found anyone that we wouldn't take their own warlord traits for, which is good. At least we haven't found anyone where we thought all their warlord traits were bad, because that can happen. All right, we're on to the armory. Does anyone have any particular thing in here that they would like to be the person who talks about? We have 3 things. It's like they did it for us here.
I'll take perdition weapons. Okay. I know Steve wants probably on Steve's salt cannon.
I can take the fires of heaven. It's fires of heaven. Any model that's a Blood Angel special rule may exchange a plasma pistol for an Inferno pistol for no additional cost. It counts as a melta weapon for all the rules. So they have this in 40k as well. They have Inferno pistols. It's the same thing here. It's a range 6-inch, strength 8, AP 1, pistol 1, armor bane, melta. So it's a 6-inch melta gun, essentially, or melta pistol. I remember when I did Blood Angels, some of the units have this or come sort of standard with it. It's great. Yes, it is very, very short. You have to get very close. But forgetting the melta part, the melta is nice. But just having a pistol that is actually scary to fire is exceptionally good. Because at strength 8, I'm actually going to be, I'm putting out my wounds probably on 2s. You're getting no armor. If you're Space Marine, I'm doubling you out. I've had my Leviathan with his Melta Lance multiple times just skewer a unit because of the shots he got out of that. Not even caring about Melta range, anything like that. This is the same sort of idea. With it being a pistol, if you got Chainsword in the other hand or anything like that, you'll still get your bonus attack. You are swapping out a plasma pistol. In a lot of cases, that's about 10 points, but it's no additional cost, so that's not bad. A little less range, stronger, doesn't get hot, and could pop a tank. I really like them. I think they're actually very, very good. They're super close, but that's okay.
It's fantastic. It's okay, because you're going to have a jump pack.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of your stuff's going to have a jump pack, and even if not, you're set up with something that's really going to be good. Is there, when you're reacting to someone who's going to assault you, your weapon has to have range?
It is still range dependent, except for
template. Yeah, as long as you're
Otherwise,
in the 8-inch template.
You still
range.
do normal shooting. Yeah, templates actually get infinite range in a Overwatch. Weirdly,
that's weird. I thought it was the 8. Okay.
The idea is they're charging into the flames, being driven back, but for a reason that does not apply to the Melta pistol because you have to be in range for that. It's just one of those game design things.
And this is about the only time that's come into play because other weapons are, shoot out to 12 or more. So it's the first time it's actually had to really be considered, but I still love it. All right. Dan, I think you were taking the perdition weapons.
Yes, I am. So perdition weapon's really cool, by the way, but let's see. So any model with both the Legion of Astartes Blood Angel special rule and character subtype may exchange a power weapon for a perdition weapon from the following list for only 5 points. All the weapons here are listed as power and flame weapons. Haha, salamanders, you're good now for the rules affecting this weapon. So you have the blade, axe, spear, and maul of perdition. Basically replacing the, power sword, power axe, power spear? Is that how?
Power lance.
Power lance.
Power lance and a power maul. So, first of all, it seems like they basically get an additional strength throughout the list. So now the Blade of Perdition is +1 strength rather than user. Axe of Perdition is +2 strength rather than user.
+1.
Spear of Perdition is +1. and Maul is +3 instead of +2. So overall, you get an additional plus. What's really good, and their APs don't change either. So it's Blade is 3, Axe is 2, Spear is 3, and Maul is 2. And it's always like two-handed, unwieldy. That hasn't changed. What's really interesting is that they all get Brutal 2.
There's a few slight differences. They kind of glance over there. The Blade is two-handed, rending. Although it's a two-handed normal sword with a little bonus. The Axe is the only one that's unwieldy, but the Axe normally is, and it is two-handed. So normally they're not two-handed.
They all become two-handed.
All of these weapons are actually two-handed.
Okay. All right. So that's the other major change, but they become Brutal 2.
Yeah, give up your offhand weapon bonus to gain Brutal 2. That's a deal I'd make for 5 points.
I'll take that.
You also get bonus strength, so it's a done deal.
It would be worth the extra 5 points alone without the Brutal 2 by having an extra strength. That alone would do it for me.
You know what's funny too?
And then the Brutal offsets the two-handed. It makes sense.
Yeah, and what's really funny about this is, like, sure, it's AP3, but I don't mind. Like the Power Maul, the Maul of Perdition, you're going to be wounded on 2s, and then anything is going to be an extra 2 armor saves. So you might just get through that 2-up Artificier armor, which is interesting.
I mean, and let's face it, the armor save of the game is not a 2-up. There are things with 2-ups, but the base armor save is currently a 3-up. And once Mechanicum and maybe some of the Solar Auxiliary, maybe these armors come out, maybe it ends up a little bit closer to like a 3.5 or something. You know, would I take my Blade of Perdition squad and go against Terminators? No, I don't care if I brutal. I'm still going to try to avoid them as best I can. But they'll do some good if they get there. But if they go against most other things, it's going to be exceptional.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, it's good.
It's a nice.
This makes them great veteran hunting weapons.
Yes,
because of the brutal.
Absolutely, they're great for veterans. Anything if you're in a 3-up save, if you're a veteran, anything like that, you have multi wounds. I will chew through them.
I think also one last change. The Power Maul is AP4, isn't it? Or is it AP3?
It's 3 now.
It used to be 4.
It used to be 4.
Oh, okay. Because I'm looking at that like, wait, did they also make it AP3 too? That's pretty sexy.
It's that did change as well. So, all right, tell us about this fancy assault cannon.
All right, the Elias's assault cannon. If you remember last time, I also had this weapon in the Imperial 5th Century, and I said this makes me sad. Here makes me a lot less sad. So, it's an assault cannon. It's got range 24, strength 6, AP 4, assault 4, rending on a 6, malfunction, so if you fire it as a reaction, it gets hot. The units that can take it is anything that is infantry unit type, can stop a heavy bolter for an assault cannon for 10 points. A predator, wow, I mixed that up. A predator can replace its turret-mounted predator autocannon with the twin-linked Ilias assault cannon for no points, and dreadnoughts can exchange heavy flamers for assault cannons for 20 points. Do they get this on less stuff than Imperial Fist?
I can take a quick look.
Yes.
I'm not sure if they get on less. I thought it was the same.
If I remember correctly, the answer is yes.
Wait, because
Imperial Fists on Imperial Fist change out flamers. So heavy flamer to it on a normal guy for 10 points.
Blood Angels do heavy flamers on infantry.
Yeah, turret-mounted predator cannon for a turret-mounted twin-linked for no additional points. That's the same. And they change out the heavy flamer in the dreadnoughts.
So it's the same.
Okay, this is the same. So then I misunderstood this. Maybe it's something that changed between the leaks and final release.
Yeah, actually, it's literally the same.
Any heavy flamer? Because I thought you could do sponson assault cannons. That's not a thing. So I'm going to have to talk to a few people that have been converting their models and go, hey, I got bad news.
Yeah, not in this at least you can't, no.
Because there's a lot of discussions around having sponson assault cannons with this. But I guess that's not a thing.
Not a thing.
Not according to the actual rules.
However, this is the same points as for Imperial Fists. And these guys hit on 3s instead of 2s. So that's rough. It's a great weapon, though. It's still a great weapon. It's just not weapon, This is not the BS that Imperial Fists are this edition.
Although seeing a Leviathan...
AKA, this is balanced.
Yeah. Seeing a Leviathan with double nipple assault cannons is hilarious.
It's a beautiful thing. Or
seeing
even
Daredeo with
in
it
their
is
hand,
even more
right?
hilarious.
No, on
yeah,
Leviathan,
sorry,
it's on the
Leviathan. I was
torso.
thinking the other
Or
one.
It is
so.
nipple mounted.
It's literally a tit
Okay.
assault cannon. Yep.
Daredeo too.
Yeah.
It's not a bad pick, but it's not the insanity you get with Imperial Fists. But you guys did it first, so by default, in my heart, you do it better, even if tabletop disagrees.
All right, and this is actually the first Legion where they don't have any sort of character upgrades listed. They don't get any formal Consularis or anything like that.
Nope.
No one's special.
Which is very weird because, well, no, because I guess not. Because in 40k they have those weird sanguinary priests, but I guess the sanguinary priest popped up after the heresy.
Yeah, the sanguinary guard and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That takes us to the Dawnbreaker cohort. Does anyone have a particular unit as we start getting to the units that they want to talk about?
Paladins.
Oh, well, Dan
What did he
called
call?
his.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Paladins. It's like, hey,
1,000.
look, it's Paladins.
Sure,
I want them.
Yeah,
So
you can talk about when we get to the
models.
Paladins. Maybe they also harm the innocent. We'll see.
I'll pick the Dawnbreakers because they have a weapon, and I really like that weapon.
Do it.
All right. So, Dawnbreaker Cohort. You've got a veteran squad stat lines of weapon skill 5, 2 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 8. Oh, and a 2-up armor save, just in case, you want to be a little bit beefier. It starts at a 5-man unit for 150 points. You get a Falling Star Pattern Power Spear, which is the thing I love about this unit. And you get Grenade Dischargers, Frag Grenades, Artificer Armor, and a Warhawk Jump Pack. For special, their infantry, the squad leader's a character. They get the Blade Angels rule. They get Furious Charge and a rule called Set the Sky Aflame. So for that special rule, when a unit composed of entirely mods with this rule is deployed as part of a Deep Strike Assault, any enemy units within 6 suffer a -1 modifier to leadership characteristic when taking any pinning checks caused by the Deep Strike Assault. That's a nice little perk because Deep Strike Assaults are, as I keep saying, really good. Like, really good. And that extra little -1 could very much tip the scales into making things pinned. Because a -1 on 2d6 is a very weird curve. And pushing a squad from 8 to 7 is a nice bump. If they happen to already be suffering, say you cause fear, going from a 7 to a 6 is a big swing. Because math-wise, going from 8 to 7, you knock out 5 out of 36. Going from 7 to 6, you knock out 6 out of 36 potential outcomes on 2d6. So that's almost a third on either of those steps. That's big. Not a third, that's 6. But yeah, no, that's nice. For their options, you can take up to 5 extra guys at 25 points each. You could replace the Power Spear with an Equinox Power Blade case at 5 points a model. The entire squad could take Melt-A-Bombs, which this is one of those units that actually has that option. However, having no invulnerable save, I'm a little nerves out throwing them at Dreadnoughts just because Dreadnought will swing first and probably kill half the squad. Although they are weapon skill 5, so they do have a fighting chance. And then the unit leader can replace their Power Spear with a Power Weapon for free or a Perdition Weapon for 5 points. Let's look at these spears, though, because, talk about them a lot. I really like them. It is a melee weapon. It's a power-type weapon. You get +1 strength, AP 3, melee and reach. Oh, so that's a normal power lance. And then you're rending on 5 up.
Ooh.
Yeah. The biggest downside to the power lance is they can't reach that AP2 status to fight Terminators. And these guys go, don't worry about it. I got you. And it's running on a 5. Not even a 6, but a 5. And it's straight up rending, too, which means it works on Dreadnought.
Mm. And their Furious Charge, so a +2 strength on the charge. So they're wounding on 5s anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even in ongoing combat, wounding on 5s. That's really nice. The other option you could take for an extra 5 points a model are these Equinox Power Blade cases. Basically, it's a pair of melee weapons, but you get a single stat line representing the pair. In any assault phase, you choose one of the profiles making attacks, and everyone in the squad uses that profile. So you could either use your Sunrise Blade or your Sunset Blade. The Sunrise Blade is Strength User, AP 3, Melee, Shred, Sudden Strike 1. So on a turn you charge, you get +1 initiative. And then the Sunset Blade is Melee, Rending 5 up, and Sunder for your vehicle hunting needs. So I'll put you at that. Strength 4. On a 5, that you're at 9 plus D3. So it's a 10 minimum if you rend, up to a 12, 11, 12, 14, I think? I think they can hit a 14. Because 6 plus 4 plus 3, 9 plus...
That'd be 13. Yeah,
4,
they can hit 13.
13. They can hit a 13. 14 on the charge. Furious Charge gets it to 14. I'm not as impressed by that one, because Sunder only works on vehicles and not dreadnoughts. I think I'd rather have the reach and swing first, and if the dice love me and hate my opponent, get the kill.
Yeah, I don't know if I like the upgrade, the extra 5 points for that. It's not bad.
You do get an extra attack.
No extra attack.
Wait, and all their attacks are.
Oh, never mind. They do get an extra attack. They do. Sorry,
yeah.
That's the last 3 words.
So they do get an extra attack, which is.
It's nice, but I'd rather have the
Yeah,
Power Spear.
I'd rather.
Personally. Maybe it's because I really like Reach, but
Reach is good on your close combat unit, because if I can kill some of your stuff first, you don't look at a close combat unit to be good because it can kill like some TAC Marines. You look at a close combat unit because it's good because it can kill something that's a little bit hardier, and the best way to do that is to swing before you, because then I'll live.
Yep.
So no, and they're already 150 points for 5 guys. I wouldn't want to throw an extra. Maybe if you can choose any of them, right? Any model. Maybe if you want to pick like 1 or 2, just in case you go against, I don't know, something where it matters.
Space Marines. No, Space Marines. Because now it's AP3 and it's Shred, and you have an extra attack. So yes, Space Marines would be it. You're wounding them on 2s.
Yeah, 2s with the reroll on the charge versus 2s on the charge. On the ongoing combat, it's gonna be 4s with a reroll versus 3s. 4s and the reroll is technically better. I suppose. I don't know. I really like the Power Spears, just because I think Reach is a fun rule, and I wish I could have that weapon. And then, closing out the unit, we have the Grenade Discharger. It's basically a little wrist-mounted assault grenade launcher. You got range 12, strength 3, AP 6, assault 3, pinning, or you could shoot it with crack, which is strength 6, AP 4, assault 1. One weird thing to know about this unit is they do not have crack grenades, only frag.
Yeah, but this is one of the spots where you could take the melta bombs if you're really worried about the heavy things. That's
true. And it's per unit you're paying the points, so if you happen to run a 10-man squad, it becomes kind of economical. This is a nice unit. I ended up doing a little mathematical matchup between this unit and the Raven Guard jump back guys, the Dark Furies. And these guys had a pretty good advantage. Even if they got charged, which is where the Raven Guard excel, these guys ended up climbing out on top just because they have that 2-up armor save base and the Reach. Reach makes a big difference in a lot of elite versus elite unit matchups. Because you get charged and you're swinging first.
Yeah. And like I said, putting you at a 2-up save means that against most of your, what you might call your fast-moving combat squads, usually are not AP2 across the board. They might have a way to get it a little bit here and there, but it's not like it's all AP2. So I think it's, I agree. I think they really stand a very good chance. Yeah, when I'm looking at the other squad, there's Shred rending on a 5-up. The Dark Fury squad. But yeah, I'll swing before you. You're only a 3-up save, other than one of them's a 2-up. I'll kill a few of your models first. And now you have less to swing at me with.
Yeah, no. Dawnbreaker's great unit, and the models are a little plain compared to the other Blood Angels models, but I kind of like that too because it doesn't get too busy. It still has a simple elegance to it. No, it's a great unit.
Look at these Dawnbreaker. Yeah,
All right,
they don't
Dan.
need to be quite as over the top as some of the things they do are, and that's okay. They got like bird faces. It looks like bird faces. This picture. Oh no, it's just the way they painted it. Yeah, they're more subdued. Absolutely more subdued. All right, Dan. You want to
you
talk
ready?
about your other form of Paladin?
Probably my top 5 favorite looking models in Horus Heresy. These guys look good. All right, so Crimson Paladins, 145 points for 3 of them, not 5. Well, okay, so I'm just going to skip real quick. I did the math. Each additional one is 40 points each, meaning if you have 5 of them, they're 225 points, which is...
That's the cheaper side of
your extra
Terminator style unit.
Exactly. So it's kind of cool that they started 3, in my opinion, especially as a Custodians player, because it makes me super happy.
Talk about maxing squads, and you're happy they can come in 3.
Don't ask me. I don't know.
You know why? Because you could fit them in a Land Raider Achilles without anyone else.
Oh my god, yes. But yeah, no. So it's 145 for 3, 225 for 5. If you're going for the normal 5, if we're gonna average it out to the other elites, their weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 4. Their 2 wounds, 2 attacks, 3 attacks. Leadership 10 though, straight leadership 10. They are armed with a power weapon. They are armed with a Coriolis pattern power shield. They are armed in Cataphractite Terminator armor, so have that 4-up invulnerable. They are bulky 2, relentless. They come with deep strike natively. Very nice. They have a special rule known as the Blood is Forever, and they are stubborn. So these guys are stubborn leadership 10. They're dwarves.
Boy, that's a grudging.
Yeah, pretty much. Each one additional is 40 points, as I said before. You can exchange the power weapon for a Sunset Blade, which I don't understand why you wouldn't, because Sunset Blade is the one that
it's on the next page. It's on the page for them. It's a sword that rends on 5.
I'm not sure why you wouldn't, but what about that? Exactly. For every 5 models in the unit, 1 Crimson Paladin may exchange his Coriolis pattern power shield for one of the following. So he can exchange for an assault cannon, heavy flame, or a plasma blaster. Have we seen that yet? We have seen the plasma blaster.
Yeah,
the plasma
Cataphracti and Tartarus can take those.
Okay.
The generic squad.
It's a generic. Okay. I feel like all the special ones haven't had that option yet, which is weird.
I think the Night Lords one did, but most of them don't have the general options.
Okay. Just wanted to check because I'm like that. Oh, that popped up in my head. Up to 2 Crimson Paladins may exchange their power weapons for a Power Fist or Chain Fist. And the Exemplar can take a Perdition weapon for free and take a Grenade Harness for 10 points. So let's look at their special rules / weapons. First of all, the Blood is Forever. This is a long one, so bear with me. While locked in combat with a unit that outnumbers them, a Crimson Paladin unit gains the Feel No Pain 5-up special rule. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are outnumbered, you now have a 2-up, 4-up invulnerable, 5-up Feel No Pain. However, it gets better. If outnumbered by more than twice their own number, then they instead gain the Feel No Pain 4-up special rule. So that's a 2-up, 4-up, 4-up. Any model with the independent character special rule that joins the squad does not gain this special rule and does not count for the purposes of determining when the unit is outnumbered. So it's only the main unit that counts. Each Crimson Paladin and Crimson Exemplar is counted as 2 models because they have bulky 2. It just keeps... If locked in combat with more than 1 enemy unit, add the size of all enemy units together to decide if the Crimson Paladins are outnumbered. And it's all enemy units, by the way, not friendly units. So, let's say we're all in one big blob, and I got 2 units, and you got 2 units. I count the Crimson Paladins against your 2 units, not my 2 units against your 2 units. It's very nice. The Sunset Blade is a power sword that rends on a 5-up and has Sunder. So this is what I made the joke about before. If they're armed with a power weapon, like a power sword, which is rend on a 6, just why not take the rending 5-up and Sunder? That made no sense to me. Anyway. And then the Coriolis pattern, power shields, basically any wound results In melee, get reduced by 1. So that's not bad. So let's talk about these guys a little bit. They're very interesting in my opinion. First of all, they start at 3, but I think you can go to 5 comfortably. Let's be honest, we can go to 5 comfortably, and that would be as 10 models essentially. They're stubborn 10. They're pretty much. I don't know. Well, here's the thing. What's 10 in this game? Terminator squads, and not even.
Terminator squads 5 on 5 would be equal.
Actually, you know what's funny too? No. I was gonna say give them Chain Fist and Power Fist, but at that point you're not getting your Feel No Pain, and the rule just kind of doesn't do anything.
You would get your.
You could probably get 3 of them, maybe 4.
Oh yeah, because you would replace.
Yeah, because then you're taking at the same time.
You get your Feel No Pain part. You just wouldn't get the shield part.
Wait. Oh yeah, because you reduce. No, it's reduced.
That's what the shield does.
Rolls made by 1.
And if you take a Power Fist, no, they just changed their weapon. You would still have it. Why not? Sorry, I was looking at the wrong line. If you change out to take a Power Fist or Chain Fist,
if Power Fist is something.
Not if you're getting hit by one. If you are taking one.
Oh yeah. No, I was saying let's give them a Power Fist and then they get hit with one. I wouldn't put what I'm saying is I wouldn't put these guys against Terminators. These guys are tactical Marine killers, right? And most tactical Marines or veterans run in squads of 10 or more. So I would probably run a squad of 3 to 4 of these guys, right? Deep strike them down, give them all Sunset Blades, because it's free, and that's what, 145? That's 185 points for a free Deep Strike unit at Stubborn 10. They're going to be outnumbered. They Deep Struck in, so they're going to be able to assault. And now they get on the charge, what? If it's 4 of them, that's 6, 7, 8, 9 attacks. Right?
That would be the base number of attacks, not counting the attacks for charge.
Yeah. Oh, and then another 4. So yeah, you get what?
So you have 13.
Sorry, 13 attacks. 13 attacks, mostly hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s, or actually wounding on 3s.
Wounding on 3s because it is strength user.
Yeah. Wounding on 3s because you charge. Yeah. So wounding on 3s, but rending 5 up at your AP3 anyway. I would toss these guys at veterans or tactical Marines on an objective. That's what I would use these guys as. They're not going to be your dedicated... Like, most elites we've talked about are your dedicated Terminator versus Terminator anti-killers, right? With the exception of a few. But these guys, I would not even look at a Terminator squad to toss these guys at. These guys are your dedicated... Oh, is that a 20-man tactical Marine on an objective? I'm going to try to remove them.
Having Deep Strike is the only reason, in my mind, that you would talk about them for any sort of purpose.
Oh yes. Yes.
It's that because it's essentially, unless you want to pay the extra points, it's a few guys with AP3 weapons. The outnumbering people is useful, but to outnumber people means you have to come in with low numbers. If you come in with high, you're not getting one of your potential rules. You will have that -1 to wound, which is really good, and actually that part would make Terminators a little less scary because then even Power Fists aren't hurting you are requiring 3s. So you're going to start missing a bit more. Though you might, like I said, maybe you don't get your Feel No Pain, but if they miss a few more, it can kind of even out. But I don't know. I'm not thrilled with them personally, but it's probably the Deep Strike that saves them.
Honestly, they're cheap. They're 185 points for 4 of them. Toss them at a tactical Marine Deep Strike and toss them at a tactical Marine squad. That's my opinion. You don't again, people who complain, I've seen so many complaints on this. I'm like, oh my god, these guys suck. I can't kill Justarian Terminators with them, or I can't kill Lernaeans. And I'm like, but why the fuck are you going against other Terminators?
Yeah, that's not their job.
These are not. That's not their job. Here, put it this way: 185 points, right? How much is a 20-man tactical Marine squad?
Base would be 200.
200, right? And that's not including the Power Fist and the Artifice, your armor, one dude.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, 185 points, you toss them in a 20-man tactical Marine squad, they're going to rout that squad for cheaper. And probably not take a wound in the process.
They could potentially get, depending on your dice, of course, because I've played enough games where I've seen some people roll really bad.
Yes.
You could get horribly wounded
Very
on
true, very
my
true.
potential reaction of shooting you first, because that 20-man squad, you're going to be within 12 inches extra shot. And if I'm attack squad, Fury of the Legion, because I'm going to count as stationary, an extra shot, I'm firing 60 shots at you. I might cut down a couple of these guys on your way in. I had it the other day where on like
Very
10
true.
saves, the guy I was playing against like failed 3 or 4. I've done that before, so I mean, like, it statistically should go in your favor. But remember, Overwatch is a thing, so be careful about that. 20 bolter Marines are going to put a hurt on you. I don't care what you are. But
maybe take a squad of 5 then. There's your argument for
use your once per game on this unit.
Oh, no, but this is the shooting phase. Or
when
is it when they get shot?
When they get shot.
Oh, okay. So now they have a 5-up shrouded. Okay.
But then the Feel No Pain's useless. But then again, that's only close combat anyway,
close combat
right?
Only
yeah,
anyway.
it's a close combat.
So
anyway.
That's what actually makes it useful there, because they actually would get get the bonus. I can see why people are a little, not necessarily thrilled with them. I can see that. I understand it. They said you have to smartly decide what to go against. There are units these guys should not go against, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But that does mean, your army to some extent, just on the base side, is... we haven't looked at the other unit, the Angel's Tears, yet. You're lacking that sort of heavy, dedicated infantry unit. But you got other options. You have guns.
145 points.
For 3 guys. You got to keep in mind, that's 3 guys.
Yeah, for 3, I know. 185 for fine. Do 4. 185 for 4. That's cheap. Maybe people are mad because they look really sexy. Like, these are beautiful models. I don't know if Dave is looking at them on Forge or
they're nice. Yeah. They have a little bit more filigree. They start getting to that level of almost being a little too much. A little like their leather straps hang off the Cataphracti armor on the side has blood droplets on everything instead of just the normal little stud. Their shields I like. The shield with the face I think is very good, but they do start getting a little bit busy for me. But I still like them. But they're starting to crest that where I would be concerned.
I don't know. I think they look good.
That's why. Well, you go with armies that are a little bit more ostentatious.
Yes, that is true.
All right. Let's look at these Angels tiers. 150 points for 5 of these boys. They are base Marine stat line, although their leaderships are 1 better. They're 8, 9 for the Sergeant model, which is an Arch Heirloom? I guess Heirloom. They gave them a stupid name. That's fine. I'm sure there's a reason for the name, but
it's a destroyer stat line.
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah. Their stats are
well.
they do have more attacks. Line. My apologies, they missed that. War gear wise, they had 2 Volkite Serpenta. They have chain swords, rag grenades, which is always nice. You haven't seen that too often. They have the frag and crack, power armor, and they have jump packs, of course. They are heavy infantry type. They have counterattack 1, so they're absolutely fine being charged. And with the fact they have rag grenades, they would love to be charged. Stubborn, and they have bitter duty. Remember, bitter duty means you can't have a character join the unit unless they also have that same rule. So, to a large extent, they will go unsupported. Although, can a Moritat take a jump pack? Okay, so there you go.
Also, stupid question. They got a jump pack and they're heavy infantry?
That's right.
Oh, okay.
So they can't run, and they lose an inch on reaction moves.
But they
also fly.
And they also reroll against blast.
Yep.
Okay.
You could take 5 more for 20 points a guy. Entire unit. Here's another squad that can take Melta Bombs for 25 points for the whole unit. Any one of them may exchange one of their Volkite Serpenta for one of the following. They can take the Angel's Tears Grenade Launcher, which we'll go through in a moment. heavy flamers, the assault cannon for 10 points. You can take rotor cannons, heavy chain swords. The sergeant model, the Arch Arlem, can take out his chainsword with some various options, including power weapons, power fists, lightning claws, all of that. He can also take a plasma pistol, swap out one of his Volkites for that, and he can get up to his artificer armor for the 10 points. So somewhat normal upgrades. For that grenade launcher, because if you look on Forge World, they sell these in 2 different types of units. The normal unit, and then they sell a different set that are armed with grenade launchers. It's a 24-inch range, strength 4, AP 4. It counts as a rad weapon. So very, very important there. Assault 3, rad phage, and fleshbane. That's actually really 10 points 10 points each. They remove one of their Serpenta, which means they still have the other one for the extra attack on. It's just the extra attack because of 2 weapons.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I would probably swap out. I'd probably swap out a few of the guys for that. Maybe like 2.
So alternate. So
Yeah.
alternate. It says any model may exchange it, right? Don't take the grenade launcher because the rad phage only works if you wound something, right? And like if it's wounded, it's probably going to die anyway, to be quite honest. Instead, you give them all assault cannons. And now you have a jump pack assault cannon unit that if they charge, still get an extra attack and a charge bonus. And they have counterattack, so fuck it. They have rad grenades anyway, Dave. So you give them all assault cannons, which are the same points as the grenade launchers. And now they're jumping around with assault cannons. And if they get charged, you overwatch. And that first turn, someone who charged you is -1 toughness.
True. They're 3-up saves, so you do have the potential problem with the gets hot. You then have to roll them slowly. But yeah, that might be the better call. I like their grenade launcher. But your assault cannon is strength 6, so you're probably wounding on 2s anyway. It has fleshbane. There's some spots where that might be nicer, but in general, wounding on 6s is going to give you the same exact concepts as fleshbane no matter what anyway. You would get 1 more attack, and your AP would stay the same. And the assault cannon at least can rend, so you could potentially take down some heavier things. I still wouldn't use all of them. I think that's getting too expensive. I think that's doing a little too much. I would take maybe a few, but I don't know if I want 5 guys for 200 points to put them all with assault cannons.
Listen, that's okay. Yeah. 5 guys for 200 points, but they have assault, they have jump packs, and that's 20 assault cannon shots. With the ability to jump around 12 inches.
36-inch threat on assault cannons is not
36. Bad. Yeah, 36-inch range.
24-inch range, 36-inch threat. Yep.
Well, yeah. Sorry. That's not bad.
You got to find a new phrase than not bad.
That's so and no malo.
It's so not bad means it is therefore not a good thing, because otherwise you'd say it's good. So is it actually good?
It's good.
200 points to throw out 20 strength 6 shots? Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah. I pay a lot more than that for my fucking Myrmidons, and I only take 3 of them.
So what you do is you don't use these guys up in your front line. You keep them as a reserve unit, not like in reserve, like hold them back, hide them behind terrain, or like a rhino or something. And then when you're ready, you spring them out and you just dump dice onto something.
Yeah. And then you can assault with them afterwards.
In general, I find that destroyer squads, including these guys, work best as a counter-assaulting unit.
Yeah. They're 3-up saves. They're not going to withstand if someone really wants to take them down, if you have them out there. If that's your concern, if this is a unit that concerns you, I will shoot it. And if you reaction fire at me, I know you might kill a few of your guys in that alone anyway. So that would be the trade-off, because I know sooner or later you'll shoot me anyway. So yeah, I'd shoot you. Do you want to fire back because you might lose some people? So I like them with taking him more attack, since he gets bitter duty, and there's at least maybe even a good spot to hide him.
It would be really cool is hit like a more attack with double plasma, and then take all these guys with assault cannons. And that'd be a nasty little, like, pop around the corner and just bolters.
I don't mind doing that idea. I wouldn't take probably more than the 5. I don't know if I'd keep adding more and more guys. I think they actually would work very well as a 5-pack, because then you can also hide them. I think if you get towards closer to 10, you're adding an extra 150 points with the way you want to do it, but also 10 guys are a lot harder to hide. So.
Okay.
All right. I think we are on to their special Contemptor. Does anyone in particular want to talk about this Contemptor boy?
Yep. I'll take it. I actually I like his rules. I absolutely hate
Talk
the
about
model.
him. I'm going to look him up while you do that.
It's a very universal sentiment. Very universal.
So the Contemptor is great. Don't get me wrong. Like the Blood Angels Contemptor, the normal one, the Insidious I think is the same exact. Oh no, it's slightly different on the body, but it still looks great. Like the filigree, it's beautiful, right? It's and then you turn the model around, and that stupid. God, I hate that jump pack so goddamn much.
Oh my, that's not good.
God. Yes. Like the front of the model is so beautiful, and they could have just like. Why does he have a Fast and Furious Nitro boost back there?
The problem with this jump pack is very simple. They took a normal Contemptor in every way. I mean, they put a little bit of extra fanciness on him, but body-wise, including his essential, I guess where his power system is and all, that's all normal. And then they just kind of put this over it. You don't see that with Space Marines. A Space Marine takes his backpack off and puts on a jump pack. If they would have done that, it would have looked a lot better.
Yes, it just looks not good, and that's. I mean, Steve says it's a universal sentiment. I wouldn't, but like it sucks too, because like look at the claws. Like just real quick, Dave, look at the claws. You see how like the drum barrels underneath it, like it's a well thought out model, and then you turn it around, and you're like, what the?
To me, honestly, by looking at it, it's kit bash to me. Yeah,
like slapped on. Yeah, good. Okay, I thought it was just, but no, and but I should point out there are wonderful like people who do like third party bits for this, right? And it's literally you replace the backpack, you buy the model and you replace the backpack. But anyway, let's talk about the rules. I do like the model. I will point out that I absolutely love this model though. This is I would take
from the front.
Well, no, and rules too. I would take 3 of these guys if I could. Actually, you can take because it's fast attack. So it's called the Contemptor. Okay, is it Incendious?
Incaendius, I would say.
Incaendius, right?
Incaendius.
In Candyland, yes.
Latin, I swear to God. Contemptor-Incaendius Dreadnought, 200 points. It is movement 8, which is normal for Contemptor. Weapon skill 5 and ballistic skill 5. So again, normal Contemptor. You have strength, toughness 7, normal Contemptor. Wound 6, initiative 4, attacks 3, leadership 9, 2 up save. So it's a normal Contemptor by all means. It has 2 talents of perdition with inbuilt heavy flamers, which hint hint wink wink. You can replace that with inbuilt melta-guns for 10 points, or inbuilt assault cannons, which please do because it's modeled. The model actually has that in place. It just looks cool. Inbuilt assault cannons and talons is the coolest thing.
Is less than what it normally replaces for, because normally it would replace for 20.
Yes. And it has an Incaendius booster pack, which we'll talk about in a second. You can also replace both of its talons. It doesn't give you the option of replacing one. You could also replace both of its talons for Gravis Power Fist, which is the normal Contemptor Power Fist. So, let's talk about this dude. First of all, the Incaendius booster pack. It may be used once per battle in one of 2 ways. These options are mutually exclusive, and the use of one means the other may not be used in that battle. So, you can deep strike this dude. That's literally what it is. One of the rules is straight up deep strike. At the start of the battle, before any models are deployed in the battlefield, the controller player may choose this Contemptor into reserves, and you give it the deep strike special rule, so now it's in deep strike assault. So you now have a deep strike assault Contemptor. Without a drop pod, by the way, which is that's nice. Or you can shock assault him. And this is also a very long rule, so bear with me. The control player may opt to deploy the Dreadnought as normal. In this case, you can use the booster pack. It has to be declared once per battle at the start of any player movement phases, including the first. When activated, the Dreadnought's movement characteristic is set to 12 inches, so it's basically an Assault Marine, and it gains the Hammer of Wrath 2 special rule for the duration of the player's turn. While this is active, you may also ignore any models or terrain freely while moving, but you may not end up in impassable terrain or within 1 inch of models. If you begin or end the movement in a difficult terrain, it must take a dangerous terrain test, and you cannot run. So essentially, you become an Assault Marine, which is freaking awesome. Remember, you can't use Deep Strike and then also this. You have to. It's mutually exclusive to each other. We didn't talk about Rites of War, but note that any Contemptor Dreadnought, or the Incaendius Dreadnought that is used in the Rite of War Day of Revelation, you must use the Deep Strike rule. You can't actually use the Shock Assault rule because it has to be Deep Struck. Then you have the Talons of Perdition. Talons of Perdition are Strength User, AP 2, Melee, Dread, and Brutal 2. So let's compare this to the Gravis Power Fists real quick, which I don't think I have in front of me. Hold on.
I have it in my brain.
Oh, good. Give me the Gravis Power Fist.
Yeah, so Gravis Power Fist, Strength 9 fixed.
Oh, Strength 9.
Strength 9, AP 2, Melee, Brutal 3.
You lose a Brutal. You lose the ability to insta-kill 8. Or insta-kill, sorry, toughness 4. But you gain Shred. Now, I should point out this is also a flame weapon. So, against salamanders, this might not work. Melee, Shred, Brutal 2. So you lose Brutal 3 to Brutal 2, but you gain Shred, and you lose Strength 9 to Strength 7.
To me, it's worse.
Worth. I don't know. Also, weird thing. Does it say? It doesn't. Okay. So it actually has 4 attacks then, probably? Because don't they normally say, oh, the attacks are included in the profile already, or no?
They don't do that anymore. On Contemptors, they usually don't, but they will tell you that you can get it. I know, like, the Leviathan says that he has, like, 5 attacks. It's because of his 2 close combat weapons. So
this one's really 4 attacks, not 3 attacks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
It's because it's a melee weapon. You have 2 of them. Yeah. That means I was looking at the
Contemptor entry. In the Contemptor entry, they specifically mention it after Gravis Power Fist and Gravis Chain Fist that when you have 2 of them, you get the extra. That would be my same assumption here. They don't technically say it, but yeah.
Okay. No, I'd still run them. Because again, and this is, Dave mentioned it before, it's got Deep Strike. Deep Strike this in with like some Crimson Paladins. And support it with some of those, what are they called? Angels Tears. This is a pretty good shock force.
Swap his weapons though, me personally.
The weapons. So I go back.
His other form,
go ahead.
It's okay. It's Gravis Power Fist with built-in Heavy Flamer, which if you have a Dreadnought with a built-in Heavy Flamer, you can switch out to the Assault Cannons for 20 points each. It is technically 5 points more in Assault Cannon, so he's going to be 10 points more expensive. But I think the weapon overall is just better. Like, okay, it shreds. I'm wounding. Okay, let's assume a Marine stat line for a second. I'm wounding on 2s. Okay, 2s re-rolling. Yeah. It's going to stop that terrible roll that you do every now and then when you roll a couple 1s and you feel really sad for yourself. But in general, you're not gaining much off of that for the trade-off of I can't double out someone on multiple saves. Being able to double out a Terminator when, say it's Cataphractic, you have 4 up saves. I'm making you take 3 saves for each. Statistically, you're going to fail one of those. You're now dead. Here, you're taking only 2 saves. You fail one of them, you're still alive.
So you would take the Dreadnought, but switch it to the Gravis Power Fist.
The Deep Strike him with some other stuff. That, like I said, we didn't talk about that Rite of War, but it goes really well with that Rite of War.
I
would absolutely do that.
I would Deep Strike him with like 2 sets of. I would Deep Strike him with maybe 2 sets of like 4-man Crimson, or even 5-man Crimson Paladins, and just like have that be like the initial shock
Especially
force.
If you're talking about Crimson Paladins, because as we said, their target is not the really heavy units. You therefore need something to go against that heavier unit. He's great to do that.
Okay, so I spent what 1,000. I spent no, hold on. I spent 1,200 points on Terrans who could like deep strike in. They were my elite unit. 1,200 points, right? So I take 2 of these guys. That's 400 points. I take 2 sets of 5 Crimson Paladins. That's 450 points. So right there, that's 850 points. And toss in the fucking Angel Tears, who are 10 points each. That becomes 190. Fucking Artificer Armor, 200. So right there, for 1,050 points, you have Angel's Tears with 5 Assault Cannons.
Yeah.
Right? You have 2 Dreadnoughts that can deep strike. And then you have 2 sets of 5 Crimson Paladins that can deep strike. You set the Crimson Paladins off on Tac Marines, and you set these guys off on the Terminators. That's a good third of your list right there, in my opinion. That's a damn good third of your list.
Just to mention it quickly, it was... Oh, I'm on the wrong page for it. The Rite of War, yeah. Day of Revelation. For Day of Revelation, it's essentially a deep strike one. You put some stuff in deep strike assault, but you get to choose which turn they come in. You don't roll for it. Happens, and things gain fearless. There's a few other little things, but that's the main thing. So it's a known deep strike assault.
You can make these guys. That is a turn. Could you imagine like a turn 1
2.
double Contemptor drop?
Can't do a turn 1.
Oh, turn 2. So a turn 2 double Contemptor drop with Crimson Paladins with an assault cannon backing that up. That's damn. What's determined 40k? Where you like attack
Alpha
all
strike.
On turn 1 or turn 2?
Alpha strike is turn 1.
Alpha strike, yes.
Usually considered top of turn, or sometimes they'll use beta strike if it's the bottom of turn 1, or like essentially the player who goes second.
Yeah.
Or turn 2. I've heard of a turn 2.
Yeah, I like that. I like this. I like this. Again, but I think he has to be paired with something. I don't think he's like an alone Contemptor in the battlefield doing what. No, he needs to be paired with something. But I like him. Like this is a yeah. I like their special units so far. They've got some pretty damn good special units.
Well, we've actually now talked about every special unit they have.
Is that all? No. Oh yeah, because they don't have.
No. So we searched. They don't have an exemplar unit currently, and they did have an exemplar battle, versus World Bear. So Word Bearers, but Word Bearers are the only ones who got a unit in that. The Blood Angels did not get a unit, so that actually finishes out for their units.
Oh.
That puts us on to characters.
Yeah. So special characters. Yeah. So I do like their units a lot. Yeah.
Of course, I dropped my book right then, so just getting back to it. So, we have.
Oh no!
What?
Oh no! Gravity. Well, gravity still works at least.
We have 3 characters. Does anyone care who they talk about? Anyone got a favorite?
I don't know any of. I think they took out my favorite one already. Anyway, did they take out the one with the half mask that was silver? I'm trying to remember his damn name.
There's a character like that in 40k.
No. He had he had a beautiful half mask of silver and filigree, but I think he got taken out sadly. Yes. Oh no, he didn't have a model. He had a drawing though in the black books. He had a beautiful, beautiful drawing in the black books.
I don't know because I will be honest. I have not read their little bits of fluff.
I can walk over
as we go along. I know it's not the first guy.
I think you're thinking of Captain Tycho.
Yeah, I thought he was talking about Tycho.
No. Hold on. Give me again. Hold on.
Because it's not Raldoron that you're talking about. It's not Zephon that you're talking about.
Yeah, the Judiciar.
And it's not the Judiciar either.
They're yelling at me right now. Hold on. I got my black book in front of me. This is first edition, so it's Sanguinius.
I'm going to laugh when it's Tycho. It's going to be Tycho.
I don't need him. Judiciar, Aster. Oh my god. Names. Judiciar.
Yes,
Aster
he is
Crohne.
in the legacies.
What's his name?
Well, he's still in.
He is? I will absolutely take him. I want to see how he changed. Honestly, I liked him because his his picture. I don't know if you can Google him or not. Someone has a Google image of the Book 8 rule, but his image is just really, really cool. Like he's beautiful as like a drawing and just as a person, and he's got like the metal filigree face. Anyway, yeah. So I'll talk about him. I will absolutely talk about him.
Do you care which one you talk about, Steve?
You haven't talked in a while, though.
Zephyr.
So do you want to take Zephyr?
So Dominion Zephon, he's 185 points. He is one of the newest models in the range. He's in plastic. He is the one, he's a Blood Angel. He's jumping off of rock, and he has, I think, at least, 1 foot and maybe a hand that's cybernetic. He's had a few replacements. I do remember that.
Yes. He's got an arm and a leg, and whatever the plastic model is has it backwards.
Does it?
Yes.
You read the book, and it's completely backwards from the actual physical model.
That's great. All right, let's take a look at his backwardsy boy then. So, standard move 7. He's weapon skill 6, ballistic skill 5, so that's his better stats. Normal strength, toughness 3 wounds, initiative 5. He's got 4 attacks, 10 leadership. He's a 2-up save. He has his artificer armor. He has his spiritum sanguis, lament and grief. So these are weapons that we'll talk about shortly. He's got an iron halo, so he's got his normal standard 2-up, 4-up. Frag, crack, and rad grenades, which is really nice for him. Melt a bomb, so he comes base with melt a bombs, and he's got a jump pack. Surprise, surprise. He is relentless. He's a master of the Legion, so he'll let you take your rites of war. Independent character, of course. Furious Charge 1. He has bitter duty, so he can go with the Angel's Tears that we talked about. He's stubborn. He's a paragon of restoration. And he has his Warlord trait, and he is a loyalist. So for his Warlord, if he is your Warlord, he has to take Exarch of the High Host. If he's the Army's Warlord, then a Legion Destroyer Assault Squad may be selected as part of the same HQ choice. They count as retinue. Is there anything else special for that? No, he gets...
I'm reading it right now for you because the moment I saw retinue,
it's just
I was like,
retinue,
oh dear God, no, please.
And you get the extra reaction in the assault phase.
And the retinue becomes chosen warriors.
Okay, yes.
Not that,
thank you. Yeah, that's the one other addition then.
They do gain chosen warriors.
There it is, yeah.
Okay.
So they can all take challenges.
I mean, that's nice because at least it keeps him out of it if you want him to be carving through the rest of the squad. You might not want him in challenge because, maybe I'll win combat, but if I'm going against a unit that's, say, stubborn, I'd rather just be trying to kill more of you. So his Paragon of Restoration, it gives him the Feel No Pain 5-up special rule. In addition, the first time in any battle that Dominion Zephon loses his last wound or is otherwise removed from play as a casualty, the controlling player must immediately roll a d6. On a 4-up, he remains in play with a single wound remaining instead of being removed or destroyed. Don't ever plan on it, of course, but when you get it, it's going to be funny. And you're going to like it. He has very light instant death protection.
He's got his retinue.
True.
That's his instant death protection.
Yeah, he does. And a 5-up Feel No Pain, is nice as well. So he's a 2-up, 5-up at all times. He can tank a few of the wounds for his retinue because you know that he's got the save to live through it. They're chosen warriors. They can go fight. I haven't taken retinues, honestly. But I also haven't built my retinue. But now I have my other Forge World stuff, so I'm probably not still building that retinue. But that's okay. Deodros and stuff like that are what I want to build because they look dumb and that's fun. Yeah.
Did you see how big? It's a side question. Did you see how big your stupid Volkite is on that thing?
Oh yeah.
And how big your missiles are?
Yeah.
They're massive.
They're probably gonna get a bath.
Yeah, little side.
I don't know if I'm gonna bathe them tonight or tomorrow, but I'm probably gonna work on trying to at least get them assembled and maybe get the first layer of airbrushing on them tomorrow.
Yeah, I sprayed mine today, so I got to start working on them tomorrow.
He's got a couple weapons. His first one is a power weapon. It's the Spiritum Sanguis. It's a +1 strength, AP 2, melee 2-handed, Reaping Blow 1, and Mastercrafted. Reaping Blow is if he's in base contact with more than one model. Okay. Yep, he gets an extra attack. So.
Yep, he gets an additional attack.
Or one because he's Reaping Blow 1.
He gets the 1, yeah.
Okay. His other one is Lament and Grief. This is his pistol. So the other one's it's a pistol, and this one is just a regular melee weapon. It's not specialist. Oh, yep, sorry, there's two-handed. Yep. I was about to say, like, ooh, all that now. Two-handed. Okay. Well, because it's a big sword. All right. Yep.
This is a spicy pistol.
Lament and Grief are two separate weapons. They both count as Volkite, and they have identical profiles. Range 10, strength 5, AP 5, pistol 3, definitely great, and blind. And they are two separate weapons. So therefore, when you're firing, if you're firing pistols when you're when you're shooting, you are allowed to fire more pistols if you have them. So he can actually fire two of them. So essentially he has 6 shots. Remind me what blind does, because I haven't used it.
We haven't reached blind. I can remind you because I love blind. That's why Mechanicum do. Blind is if you are struck by the weapon. So if you're just hit, not wounded, not take a wound. If you are hit with this weapon, after the attack is resolved, immediately take an initiative test. If you fail the initiative test, the entire unit now is blinded, which means they are now weapon skill 1. And I also believe ballistic skill 1 as well. Let me check that. I always did it for the weapon skill because I didn't care. They are weapon skill and ballistic skill 1.
He goes perfectly into a squad of Angel's Tears because those are the guys with the 2 Volkite Serpenta or the guys with a whole bunch of assault cannons if you want to take. But even if you take them with the Serpenta, that's a lot of definitely great shots. You'll have to roll his separate because his matter, but if you hit, you also might blind them. And now you're set up for a charge, and you're not nearly as scared of what the other unit's going to do to you because they're going to have a horrible time hitting you, even in the reaction. Because to me, when I look at the rest of those models, they're 3-up saves. He's a 2-up, but the other guys are 3-ups. I do worry about essentially the Overwatch. Hey, you're Ballistic Skill 1. I don't care about your Overwatch anymore. You're not going to hurt me. The few that you get through, I'll take them one at a time on him. He's got 2-up and 5-up. He's quite good for 185.
As someone who has used blind extensively in first edition, and the blind rule has not changed, I will absolutely say that when blind works, it works. Now the problem is you have to take an initiative test, I believe, on is it the highest? So it doesn't say here. The test is passed. There's no further failed all models. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So I guess it's the majority initiative, right? Yeah. So let's say there's a Praetor in that unit, super souped up Praetor, whatever, right? But he's in a unit of initiative 4. That's a 50-50 it's a 1/3 chance of failing.
It's a nice to have.
Scary.
Don't bank on it, but it's absolutely a nice to have.
Don't count on it. No bank.
When does the test
in the back
happen?
Pocket.
Does it happen after the attack is completed or when you get hit? So
when you get hit. At the end. Oh, sorry. Any unit hit by one or more models of this weapon with a special rule must take an initiative test at the end of the current phase. So if they if they shoot back at you, that's what I wasn't curious about. They're not blinded.
Okay.
Because it's basically simultaneous. Yes, but if you're overwatched, no, they're weapon skill and ballistic skill 1. By the way, I should put out until the end of their next turn. I should point out, Dave. It's not until the end of your turn. It's the end of it lasts until you fire again. So,
which makes this hilarious in return fire.
Yes,
if you happen to blind them.
Yeah, no, blind is that not a lot of units have it, but those units that have it, I again don't want to use the word auto take, but just try to fit them in the list because blind is one of those things that if it goes off, it is an immediately shit moment for your opponent. I have taken again. This is me.
Dan. So I checked the characteristic test. It's the highest in the unit.
It is the highest. Oh,
yes, it's under characteristic checks as.
Okay. No, but I will say, like in first, when Horus Heresy, the first edition was around, I would have blind shots, and I would target 3 to 4 to 5 units a turn, just trying to blind them. To help me out. It works. Just do it.
The only downside to him, and it's not much, because for 185 points you get a lot of good, is his Warlord trait. If you don't want to take a Legion Destroyer Assault Squad as a retinue. His Warlord trait doesn't do anything for you, but that's fine. You get a lot of other good things out of this guy, and he doesn't have to be your Warlord. Just don't choose him to be your Warlord.
I will also point out so I don't want to shit. I don't want to shit on the sculptor. I really don't. But I had this discussion, I think, with you and Steve before. I do not like this model. There is something off, and I had to run it through with my dad.
The line of action. When this model first got, I think we reviewed it like a long time ago when it first came out. The line of action is mixed. The legs are moving in one direction. The jump pack moves in another direction, and then the sword swing is in a third direction.
The other direction. Okay, good.
As a whole, it doesn't make sense.
Now people have converted this and changed it up, but I just want to point that out that the model itself always rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah,
but
I just
it's a good rule set.
Up the model just to remind myself of it, and Warhammer's site is down for maintenance right now, so there's that.
Raffle. Just type it on Google. That's what I do.
I do it
99% of the time.
All right, Steve, want to talk about this chapter master, and then we will save the unit from the legacies for last. That's fine.
I'll send you the picture too, by the way.
So here we got Chapter Master Raldoron. He is the first captain of the Blood Angels, and he's 180 points. He has move 7, weapon skill 7, ballistic skill 5, strength toughness 4, 3 wounds, initiative 5, attacks 4. It's a standard Praetor stat line, but with an extra pip of weapon skill. He's got Artificer armor, a custom sword called the Incarnate Warblade. He's got a combi flamer, bolt pistol, iron halo, frag crack grenades. He's a Blood Angel, independent character. He's relentless, master of the Legion. Furious charge 2, so he gains 2 strength on the charge. He has a custom Warlord trait called the Archine of Wisdom, and he's always loyalist. Go figure. All right. So for his Warlord trait, if he's the Warlord, then it must be this trait.
Yeah. Now he's the one. He's got the best Warlord trait in the game.
Hold up. If Chapter Master Raldoron is selected as the Army's Warlord, then his Warlord trait may be selected from the core Warlord traits or from any Legion-specific Warlord trait from any of the following legions. Counting as though Raldoron and all models that are Blood Angels, Special Rule, and Detachment possess the appropriate version of the rules for that trait. But it does not give them the trait itself, if that makes sense. So you can say, today I'm a Salamander. Except I'm not a Salamander. I'm a Blood Angel, but I just steal their rules. Yeah. So you could be a White Scar, Imperial Fist, Space Wolf, Ultramarine, Iron Hand, Raven Guard, or Salamander. You do not get to take ones available to named characters or ones that require you to be a traitor.
It's any of the loyalists but Dark Angels.
But you because they're not loyalists.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's any loyalist, any loyalist or neutral that's not Dark Angels from the Liber Astartes book.
Or Blood Angels. They're missing.
That's true.
They're missing from their own list.
Yeah, he actually can't take his own though. Okay. They're not loyalist either. Just
that's
him.
Weird. Interesting.
Now, at the risk of going through every single goddamn Warlord trait.
Nope, we have to do it. Front to cover. Let's go.
I will murder you.
Here's what you
I
do.
will straight drive to your house and murder you.
Here's what you do. Remember.
Yeah.
Or the other nice
listen
thing
to all
we
the
put this
episodes
stuff out on YouTube and there's comments. If you actually are playing this faction and you think there's a very good option or you have it picked, oh man, this guy, that's what to take, put it in the comments. We'll read through it and we can comment on it in, give a little bit, but then we'll comment on it because let's face it, if you're a Blood Angels player, you guys have gotten to this faster and looked through it more than we have. There's a lot of possibilities here that we wouldn't know.
So,
okay.
I checked something. Give him Born in the Saddle. Now every Blood Angel ignores dangerous terrain and difficult terrain.
Did you just find the ultra thing immediately? Did you
found the white
360 no scope the best option?
I'm like, wait a minute. Yep, the Warlord in all models in the same army with the Legion of Astartes. So he trades White Scars for Blood Angels, correct? Because it works. So all models, the Legion of Astartes now Blood Angel special role, and the Cavalry unit type ignore all the effects of difficult terrain and gain 4+ invulnerable save against all wounds inflicted by failed dangerous terrains.
Right? So that had to be Cavalry.
Yep. No, and it's anyone that's White Scars and the Cavalry unit.
I guess the Cavalry. Wait, you have to be a Cavalry unit for it. So no.
Okay.
You're not getting it on your jump pack.
Okay.
Sorry. Yep.
Oh, I'm so excited for this one. I was like, oh shit.
It's true.
I was laughing hilariously because I'm like, wait a minute.
I mean, he could get It Will Not Die if he's an Ultramarine.
That's actually useful.
That's an interesting
Ultramarines have some crazy ones too.
Yeah, people who use this guy or what? Actually, does he use Howl of Mordecai? Once per battle, they get +1 bonus strength if they charge an enemy. And Hunger of the Void.
Yeah.
Luckily,
we're not going to spend the time to go through and try to figure out which one's the best for him. If you know and you're listening, put it in the comments on the YouTube. We'd love to take a look at it, get an idea of what people who are playing this faction think, and then we'll absolutely revisit it when we've had some time to actually think about it. All right. What about his weapon?
Yeah. Okay, so yes, he could have any Warlord trait. That's pretty cool. A lot of Warlord traits, not any. And then his weapon is Strength +1, AP 2, Melee, Mastercrafted, Shred, Murderous Strike 5-up.
Oh, okay.
It's not bad. He'll be Strength 5 or Strength 7 on the charge. AP 2 is nice. Add Initiative. Hey. This one is not a what's it called? A fire sword like all the other weapons in the play.
No, and he has a bolt pistol.
It's also not two-handed.
Yep.
5.
So he actually now has
5 attacks. Murder Strike 5s is nice. Mastercrafted is this is just nice.
It's just a good way.
180 points is not bad at all for the profile you're getting.
Exactly.
Bonus weapon skill. Basically, this is a +1 Paragon Blade because you get Shred and 5-ups. And Mastercrafted, which is a 10-point value right there. Blade in all respects. He's just a Praetor with a bargain build.
And
he's honestly, a bargain build Praetor.
The fact he has Shred, Murder Strike 5-up, to me says, I don't mind being charged because I almost rather have a little bit worse strength, so my first roll misses a little more. So that way, then I get to roll for more of those 5-ups for the units that I care about it on to be able to get that Murder Strike. Contemptors.
He could actually go hunting.
Contemptors, or even at that point, if he gets to charge instead, that would put him on 7, hunting Leviathans. You're 5-up rerollable, and every 5-ups.
I mean, he's still Strength 5.
6 is rolling not too bad, but if you can get the charge,
actually, Leviathans.
Now you're looking at those 5s instead, and that's all you're getting through. So rerollable on that. You're going to get in weapon skill 7 with a reroll on the beginning because you're Mastercrafted. You're probably getting in that case, 6 attacks. You're probably getting at least 5 of them through. Rerollable 5-ups. You should be close to somewhat 4. He's only going to save 1 or so. You could realistically take him down, or if not, take almost all of his wounds off. And it works really well if you take that Eternal Warrior one from the Ultramarines. Guys, just all around good. They're characters out of the book. They only had the 2 out of the book, but the characters out of the book are very good. I could absolutely see taking both.
The special units are they're so bargain. It's almost like everything they have is like a bargain,
have a lot
good
of options
price
compared to other armies, but the options they do have are overall good for what they do. They're not quite as much utility, but they're good at their jobs. Just make sure you put them to their job. Yeah, we have one more. We have the one. That's why I mentioned the thing from the book.
I sent you the picture, Dave. He's on the second page. He's on the second picture. If you want to show on the YouTube, is what he looks like. I think he's probably one of the cooler looking characters.
I like the idea of doing so, but I don't always recall.
No, you're good. I just want to show people because he is a cool looking. Like he doesn't have a model, but the artwork for him is actually legitimately awesome. So Judiciar Aster Crohne, he's the last officer of the 94th Company, the Shroud Maker, and the Ghost of Saif. Little side note about his fluff. This dude has lived through some shit. Like, this he has survived massacres, slaughters, outright genocides, and he has walked away like, oh, I'm the only survivor again. He is, his instinct survival is like insanity. Anyway, so he's movement 7. He is weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 5, strength 4, toughness 4, 3 wounds, initiative 5, 3 attacks, leadership 9, and 2 up save. So, a centurion? No, praetor, right?
No.
Is that a praetor stat line?
Yeah.
A little short.
Yeah, he's kind of between
a
the
weapon
two
skill.
because he gets the extra wound.
Okay. He's in between. Okay. He does have artificial armor and an iron hailer. Jeez, hailer. Iron halo for 4 up and vulnerable. He's got 2 hand flamers. Very interesting. A Siphon shard axe, frag crack, and yes, rad grenades. Awesome. He is infantry scout, which Steve can correct me. Scout does confer to the unit, does it not? Steve?
No.
Is he looking? Are you sure? So if I put him, he's scout, does it not confer scout to the unit? Someone check that, because I think it does, which is what I was going to talk about. Anyway. Counterattack 1, he's got the Ghost of Saif, which is a special rule. Virtue of Judgment, which is also another special rule. Bitter Duty, so another person who can go with your destroyers. Yeah. Everyone can go with your destroyer squads.
Okay. I apologize. Scout does confer.
All right, we're going to talk about some sexy tactics here. But Bitter Duty can go, and he's loyalist only, as he should be, because he's too damn sexy for traitors. Man, he's a good-looking dude. So, the Siphon shard axe is a melee weapon. It's +1 strength, AP 3, melee, rending 5 up, and duelist edge 1. It's
155 points. He's not going to have the world's best weapon.
Cool. Yeah, exactly. So the Ghost of Saif. The first time Judiciar Aster Crohne loses his last wound or is otherwise removed as a casualty, roll a d6. On a 4+, he's placed in reserve with a single wound remaining instead of being removed or destroyed. If he enters reserves on or after turn 4, he automatically enters at the start of the controlling player's following turn. 2 things about this. 1, this is hilariously troll-tastic if you pair him with what the hell's his name again? Zephon, yeah. Pair him with Zephon. Hilarious. Awesome. I'm not even gonna be mad. That is awesomely troll-tastic. 2, they have not fact this because this is part of the PDFs that are the extra units, and they haven't released that FAQ anyway. But in the first edition, he had the same rule, and they fact it so that if he dies on turn 6 or like the last turn of the game, obviously he can't come back in, right? You roll the 4 up. If he's still alive, he's still alive. He doesn't count as slain. Just realize that. Again, so the problem here is there's no fact for it now. So technically, if you slay him on the last turn and there's no turn after that, technically the game's over, so he's slain. But they did fact it as he's not slain. I do want to point that out. So I don't know if you want to still play it like that, but it was theoretically
simple. In reserves, if your reserves don't come in, or if you don't remember to bring your reserves in, normally, at least in 40K, then your reserves count as destroyed. Is that still the same rule here? If you don't bring your reserves in, do they count as destroyed?
But it says if he enters reserve on or after turn 4,
I don't care about
then
that.
He may enter play automatically at the start of the controlling player's
player's. If you don't bring your reserves in a game, don't they count as destroyed?
Oh.
Then he would count as destroyed if he dies in turn 6 and doesn't come on.
I guess they fact it for the first
why
edition,
would they need
but
to fact it?
Until they fact it for
if your
the next
reserves
edition,
aren't on the board, there you count them as destroyed. It doesn't matter if he's alive over there; he's not on the board.
I have no idea. I have no.
Well, in other words, it may be in the first edition. Maybe that wasn't the way they worded the rule or something like that. It depends on exactly how they word it. But if they word it as, go through his other things. I'm going to take a look at this wording here.
Yeah. At the start of the battle, once both players have deployed their armies, including any units with the Infiltrator special rule, Judiciar Aster Crohne controlling player may select D3 enemy units. These units are considered as marked for judgment. Judiciar Aster Crohne, Blood Angels Tears, Legion Destroyers, and Legion Mortalis Destroyers. With the Legion Astartes Blood Angel special attacks, Gain the Shred special rule when making attacks with weapons with the flame type against units with marked for judgment. So, Dave.
Now remember, perdition weapons are all flame.
Exactly. And then not only that, let's go back to those angel tiers, because there was one option that I completely ignored for a very important reason. Angels tiers, for 5 points only, can replace all their weapons with heavy flamers. Normally, this would be absolutely stupid to do because you could just take assault cannons for 10. But if all of those heavy flamers now have shred and you're jumping around, now getting a little tiny bit spicy, no? I don't know, maybe that's just me. But I think that's pretty spicy. Because remember, it's the entire army now gets shred with flame weapons. So now your dreadnoughts with flamers now have shred. Your heavy flamers now have shred. Your hand flamers that you have on your hands now have shred. Just interesting little side note. Now it's only D3 enemy units, so less effective than you think, but still cool. Still cool. But yes, Steve, you are correct. This is used for perdition weapons. Like, let me stop being stupid for a second. Ladies and gentlemen, this is used for melee perdition weapons.
So I did go and look up the rule.
All your perdition weapons have shred.
In my mind, I don't think it technically needs an FAQ for the moment. I'll say if they want it to work that way, they need to FAQ it. In the writing of the rule, since this is a game where reserves come on automatically at turn 4, if you haven't gotten them yet, they don't write in that if your reserves aren't here, they're destroyed.
Yeah.
They write it in 40K because you can choose when to bring reserves in there. And if you don't choose it by a certain round, they're destroyed. But here, it's no choice. If you roll for it and you get them, they're in. And turn 4, you stop rolling. Just get them. So, no, they don't actually have it. So, well, to me, it's simple. If he's not on the board, I wouldn't count him.
Yeah.
But if they tell me otherwise, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
See, for me, it's like, I know we don't argue spirit of the game, and I know it's a pain in the ass. But his whole thing is that he is supposed to automatically come in the next turn. He's alive.
But
Fluff.
But also, I mean,
but there's no more turns. Exactly.
In general, when something happens to your model, it's not necessarily that all your models are dead. You know, you remove a model. Maybe you removed him because he's no longer battlefield ready. Maybe he can't fight anymore. Wouldn't. To me, it would seem weird to say, "Hey, this model, he's not here, but like, he still counts as like being here." That's a little weird. But if they FAQ'd it that way, I got no problem.
It reminds me of like the old. Yeah, it reminds me of like the old Mechanicum, like, oh, you killed this model. On a 4-up, you don't get Slay the Warlord. He's dead, he doesn't return, but you don't get Slay the Warlord because he, I don't know, emergency. That was actually an old rule in first. But anyway, what do you think of this? The flame, you choose D3 enemy units, and you get shred with flame weapons, which now include the perdition weapons that we were talking about, because they're all flame.
So taking a quick look at it's good. It's absolutely good. I mean, this guy's 155 points. He's a little bit on the cheaper side.
Yeah.
Giving that ability gives some of these weapons more life than they have otherwise, because a lot of these, if you think of just normal flame weapons, okay, now, maybe I'm wounding on 4 or something like that. Or if it's hand flamers, wounding on 5s, okay, getting the shred reroll, I'll get it through. When you think of your perdition weapons, which I had to close all my books down to get closer to look at it really quick. I mean, getting shred is always good. You just can't count on how many, and you're not going to like when you only roll the 1. Okay, so that's all your melee ones, which, I mean, all of them having, brutal, and now I'm not as worried about the fact that I only have this. They have a plus strength, which is nice, but getting that there means I'm absolutely going to get through people. So no, I do think it's good. You got to hope for at least the 2. If you get the 3, you're really happy. If you only get the 1, you're much less happy. Him being bitter duty, the only thing with that is it's going to limit where you can put these guys. Is that every character has that? They only have 3. Zephon had it.
Swear to God, I was just gonna say, literally, you have my thought process, because I'm like, this is like, I swear to God. but Dominion does,
Yeah,
and
so
Chapter
they only
Master
have
does not.
total 3 characters. 2 out of the 3 have it, and Angel's Tears do as well. Yes,
But also then the Angel's Tears do as well,
Dawnbreakers
and the
Dawnbreaker
does not. Okay.
Yeah, Angel's Tears have Bitter Duty.
Angel's Tears did.
Right. Crimson Paladins don't, of course. Dawnbreakers don't. Dawnbreakers have very few special rules. But you'll be a little bit more regulated with where he goes, because he also doesn't have jump pack, so I wouldn't put him with Angel's Tears. But if you want to take him, he'll do some good. Hope for that too. But if you're going to take him, plan on it. Take a bunch of Perdition weapons. Take a bunch of, maybe even with that, I would make sure I have some units with some flame weapons. Hand flamers. I know you can take one of them with it. I always forget the names of the various assault squads. But I know the one has like 2 hand flamers each, don't they? Am I making that up? I could be making that up. There's a chance I'm lying. I don't think I am. I'd like to think I'm not lying. Isn't it an elite choice or something? You don't.
I don't know. I don't play Legion.
You should, but you don't. But your stuff comes out next week. Well, no, we can still say it. You just have an army that's actually
have a fake army. I can't wait.
Someone can. I know someone can, or someone does, and I just don't know where it is.
These are going to be the destroyer. It's either the destroyers
5 points per model. They can take 2 hand flamers. So you could do a destroyer squad with a bunch of hand flamers as well. Isn't necessarily a bad option with him. It makes them better because at least you get the rerolls to actually be able to get the wounds through. I thought someone else did, but I could be wrong. There's so many units and so many little differences. It's not the easiest thing to catch all of it. That's fine. All right. They had less things overall than most of the other factions, but we can move on to some final thoughts. So, who's got a final thought?
Oh, I mean, overall, Dave and Steve, I like these. Like they're it's this is gonna sound bad, so just bear with me. They're good. They're a good budget bin army. Like that sounds like they're garbage. That's why I said it sounds like you don't want to. But they're a good budget bin army. Their special characters are budget special characters. They work well. They're pretty damn good, and they're not going to break your bank. They're not 200, 30 points. They're not what the hell's that Dark Angel character again?
Corswain.
Yes. Not Marduk. Corswain. They're not 230 points. Most is 180, which is not bad, for a budget Praetor with a better Paragon Blade. Their units are not bad. They do what they do, but they're also budget. Like, again, 3 Crimson Paladins for 145? Something like that?
Yeah, it was 145.
Right? Hold on. Where are my Crimsons? Yeah, 145 points for 3 Terminators. So you can MSU them. Or even 225, which is, I think, the lower end of Terminators for 5. That game, yeah, like it's just they're a good budget army. I would love to see this army run a shit ton of assault cannons and see what happens. Let me rephrase that. Not run a shit ton. I would love to. How many points did I get to before, Dave?
I thought you said like 1,000 something. I don't remember the exact number, but it was high.
Yeah, it was like 1,100. Let's round up. Let's say 1,100, right? You run 2 20-man tactical marines, maybe 3 20-man tactical marines. Make them assault marines. Now you're at 2,100, right? And then you have 900 points to fill in with some HQ, special characters. Like, this is a good army that you can build a lot of stuff with. I will point out that controversial opinion.
Oh, that's not controversial at all.
The starter box is not good for this army. Oh, okay, good. I do not think the starter box is good for this army. I think we said this with the White Scars, right? Remember, unless you can find some 3D printed.
The Warhawk jump packs.
Backpacks, not backpacks. Jump packs. Find some 3D printed jump packs to stick on the back of like 40 tactical marines.
Cataphracti.
Does it come with Cataphracti or Tartarus?
Cataphracti.
That's not bad actually. You can stick it in the Spartan. Honestly, convert the tactical to assault marines.
See that to me is sort of I'm not going to call it a problem because the starter box is both one an amazing value because we've seen now the prices for the stuff when it's separate. It is definitely cheaper for sure by far. But the problem with it is those squads for what
it is a nuts
I envision Blood Angels to have, which is assault style Marines. If not assault Marines, if not guys with jump packs, at least bolt or chainsword type guys or bolt pistol chainsword type guys. All of those are the options you can't do out of that box. So that to me is the only sort of main problem is the box is good because it'll get you points. And let's face it, to play the game, you need points. But it's not going to get you the points in the way that I think you're going to want to spend them in the future.
Yeah, you want. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same problem we had with the White
Units
Scars.
that are really different struggle with that.
But it's a good army.
Yeah.
But again, we'll say it's an excellent army. Still, like, you play this army, and they probably another controversial. I think they're top 3 best looking ones.
That's looking, sure. I can see that.
No.
The top 3 best armies aren't about that.
No, I didn't say top 3 best armies. No. I said a good army. I said good army. I didn't say best.
Okay.
But they're definitely top 3 best looking armies. Like, the filigree is not overdone and it looks good. I love the Crimson. I know people don't like. Dave, you said you didn't like the Crimson Paladins, right?
I can look at the picture. I just can't click any further. It's not that I don't like them. I don't have a problem with them overall, but I'm not a fan of overtuned models. When you start putting too much on, okay, they're a Blood Angel. How do I know they're a Blood Angel? Okay, let's put like a blood drop on their chest. Cool. That's not enough. I want Vambrances to have blood drops on them. Okay, are we good? No. Let's put it on their shins. Let's put it on, and the and never stops. And that's when it starts to bother me a little bit. It gets to be a bit too much on them.
Too much. Okay. Again, I play Custodians, so too much to me is. Oh, even Mechanicum's fucking noisy.
There's different
and
types
like
of
busy with
his
models.
I don't mind all types of busyness. I guess what gets to me sometimes is that they feel that the Crimson Paladins are a Cataphractii unit. Okay, we have a variety of Cataphractii units, not even just the base through these other legions. We have 18 legions. Let's say half of them had a Cataphractii unit, a special one. It might be more. I don't know the number. We got to make sure they look different, and they have to look different from the standard Cataphractii as well as from each other. Okay, fine. And we're going to go almost, essentially over the top with the amount of stuff we put on them to make sure that you will never mistake these guys, no matter what. They are Blood Angels, because everything about them screams into your face, Blood Angels. I think that's what does it for me. That's the part where it's just a little much, Oddly enough, if you don't look at their special Contemptor's back, the rest of it I really like because it's a little bit more subdued. He has the blood drops, he has the filigree, but it's not as in your face.
To be fair, people absolutely have done on like third-party bits to replace the backpack for a jump pack. It just looks better.
Overall, I think they are very cool. I would say balling on a budget. That way it has a little less of a negative connotation. But yes, they have reasonably cheap characters. They have ways to get some of their special units for cheaper. Special units are always more. They're always more expensive. But you can take at least your Terminators a bit cheaper. Your characters are a little bit cheaper. You don't have the 230 to plus 100-point characters and all. The special things they get, I think, both fit who they are. It fits their nature, as well as gives you very good options. Their prediction weapons are really great for what they do. They both fit, their fluff, but also are nice. I have a bit of a soft spot for them because they were my first army. I just didn't pick them for 30k because I don't like their Contemptor as much. I literally picked my army because I looked at who I thought had the best Contemptor. No, I like it. I just don't like them more than the Dark Angels.
You don't like I like their Contemptor a lot.
Yeah. No. Literally, I think the Dark Angels special Contemptor is the best looking one. That's why I play them. If I thought the Blood Angel was the best, I'd be having a Blood Angels army right now. It's the only reason I made that choice.
Cough, cough. Custodes Contemptor. Custodes Contemptor.
No, first, also if I did Custodes, I could never do them in gold. It's too boring. Or because I'd have to do in non-metallic metals, and I'm not going to make an army in non-metallic
I didn't do mine in gold. You know me. I absolutely did not do mine in gold. I could not stand it. I did mine Shadow Keepers for a very good reason. Gold,
and I don't want to do that to myself on that many models. Even though I know it's less models, it's still too many models for that. I'll keep that to my MCP. Steve, any final thoughts?
I mean, I think you guys covered it. You know, it's a Legion. They prefer close combat. Starter boxes, it's okay. You're going to end up using Tactical Marines, but it's not really what you want to use as your anchor to them.
And the other part that would hurt you, I think, out of the box is just the fact that the way they did the arms, you don't have options to use those arms to put the other types of weapons on. If the Mark 3s and 4s at least were available, you can kind of finagle and fit some more weapons on those. These ones, I think you're kind of stuck with the shooting weapons where maybe that's not what you want. But, I mean, if you're going to play the army, still pick up the box. You're still getting a great deal, and you're getting plenty of stuff to play with while you wait and build up the rest of a force. And that'll do it for us tonight. As always, I want to thank anyone and everyone who does listen. Remember, you can find us in any podcatcher that you use. We're on all the apps as far as I know. If you find one we're not on, just leave a comment on, say, the YouTube or something like that, or anywhere I post up the announcements for this and let us know, and I'll make sure we get put on there. We also have this all available on YouTube as well. We just ask that you consider liking, sharing, subscribing, all those sorts of things that really do help a channel out. As I mentioned at the top, our plan for this upcoming week is to continue going through these legions. Next up, I believe, is Iron Hands. I don't have the book in front of me, but I'm pretty sure it should be them. So we'll be going through them, as well as hopefully getting another recording out next week as well. Since we know we're not doing Mechanicum, it'll probably just be another legion. Although at that point, we're now at the halfway mark for discussing legions, so maybe we'll do something else. I'm not entirely sure. We had our ideas planned out well, and now that they've changed, we haven't had a chance to discuss anything that may happen. For this one, we made a call out during the episode to, if you have a good Warlord trait for the one character in mind, since he can take from such a variety of legions. I'll note this in the YouTube as well, but leave us your thoughts. We'd be really interested to see what other people think of this, or just the legions in general. Not even necessarily just from our point of view, but from your own point of view, especially if this is a legion that you're playing. We have experience with a lot of these legions, but we haven't gotten a chance to get enough games in at any point, I would say, to feel that we truly are experts on it. The hope is to get to that point, but for now, it's our beliefs and what we see in the game and our experience in wargaming for a decade plus for each of us. So remember, if you have anything you want to reach out to us with, we have our email, trainkickersnj@gmail.com. You can reach out on the YouTube. All of us check there. I'm still working on a few other things, but now that I'm actually off of work for a bit means I can actually spend some time doing this and hopefully finishing up some more painting. All right, on behalf of everyone here, have some good hobbying and some great gaming.